Hello everyone, it's the RSS podcast. We're here for episode 20. Matt and David, let's go.
What's up? How are we doing? Episode 20, the Real Sports Science Podcast. It's a sunny day in Loughborough today. It looks like it's a sunny day down in Kent as well.
Yeah, it does. Might have to
you got
take in
a
some
whole
sun.
line of plants on that side as well. Holy smokes.
Sorry, mate, just taking in the sun, David.
Just do the podcast from there. That's fun.
There you go.
That's ridiculous. That's funny. How we doing? How you doing? Big man Matt had to stay late at work last night.
Oh, it's going good. It's going good. I'm loving it. Seeing a bit. Yeah, just really enjoying it. Really, love it.
Yeah. What was that you were about to say?
I can't remember. No, I've been really enjoying it. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Looking forward to the terms to come. But yeah, thoroughly enjoying the place.
Have you you've been there? What
in.
It's been two months, about 2 months or what?
Well, I started in December and then I went for a 2-week holiday and then now I'm back. So technically I've worked a month and a bit. It's really interesting to see how programming for, say, when I was at Loughborough is different to how I program here. Just how to focus on movement patterns for youth development instead of lifting heavy or targeting that 1%. Instead of doing ridiculous moves like a variation of a barbell step up, the kids just need to learn the squatting movement pattern. So it's interesting to see how it all varies.
That's so interesting.
What
That
about
was
you?
kind of the same.
PhD?
Good. Yeah. Couple updates. I got ethics approved. So I got ethics approved before Christmas actually, and then I had to do an amendment because we want to measure some more stuff. So I had to send it back, which I've gotten back again. So ethics is fully approved, which is exciting.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had because I've been now 4 months into my PhD. Wow, that was difficult to get out. I had a meeting again with my prof the other day, and I've just noticed that he's still the one kind of directing the studies. We're talking about the second study that we're going to hopefully start applying for ethics, and he's still kind of leading it. And I want to I want to be the one eventually, coming up with the idea, saying, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and not be yes, sir, what should we do? What's a good idea? And then he says something, I'm like, oh, yes, okay, And I guess that's just the process of a PhD, I suppose, that'll come. I guess I just hope he's happy with where I'm at and my progression or where my knowledge is at or my my contribution to my own PhD, so it's interesting because obviously at the start you don't know that much, but at some point you need to be the expert in that. So hopefully he's happy with her. I mean, we have good discussions, so that's good.
Do you know what I realized? We always speak about reflecting and how it's important. This is essentially us reflecting every episode on how our week's going by. So, see, we are putting our theory into practice. Everyone that doesn't believe us, we are.
Yeah. Speaking of reflecting, getting ready for this first study has actually made me reflect on past jobs that I've had. 1 second, I have to reply to this.
A few moments later.
Where was I? Oh yeah. Getting ready for this first study has made me kind of reflect on the past jobs that I've had. And there's this one research assistant job, and I think if you don't do research, you don't realize how much goes into getting a study off the ground. You got to do ethics, but then you got to get all the little things that you need to have done for the study to go ahead, whether it's cameras, systems, other equipment that you need, EMG, are they all working? Are the softwares up like, are all the softwares of all the sensors updated? You know, like, what kind of
Yeah.
equipment do you need? Do you need to build anything? I had to have a meeting with another guy yesterday to see if I could get holes drilled into the lab floor so that we can put an isometric rig into the floor and bolt it down so that we can use that. Like, there's so much that goes on.
Yeah.
And looking back now, I'm really thankful for this job that I had last year, where I was a research assistant. And although like a lot of things kind of went wrong in it, and in it I was kind of frustrated, and I was like, oh, like nothing's going right. There's all these things that are happening. Right now, I'm really thankful for that job, because I think it opened my eyes to all of the different considerations that you have to think about while getting a study off the ground. That before that I didn't think about at all. You know. So, so I guess, yeah, just kind of realizing that this week, of like, experiences are what you take from it, and not necessarily the experience itself, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah.
But that's all I got to say about that.
That's interesting. No, I don't know. Bloody hell, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Sounds very stressful. And then, yeah, I mean,
It is fun.
you know,
It is fun, but
speaking about gym though, you heading off to the gym, trying to burn off all that coffee and cake, that you enjoyed over Christmas.
I got to, bro. I'm sacking off the gym this morning to record this. So maybe I should have just
Sacking off
bought
what
like
gym?
a
What do you do at
wireless
that gym? What do you do at the gym? CrossFit. You do CrossFit at that gym.
Yeah.
Which is today's
That's true.
episode. Let's
Which
get
is
right
today's
into it.
episode. Come on. Yeah.
See, I was trying to
excited
link
talk
it all
about
up.
this.
You'll be an
I'm
expert
not
in
doing
this.
CrossFit. I'm not doing
Nah,
CrossFit
you're a CrossFit
to
maniac.
talk
Yeah, you
about
are.
CrossFit.
No, I've never done
before-
CrossFit. So you'll be better prepared for this. But I mean, like,
well, I guess.
we'll see. I've always wanted to do CrossFit. I've always wanted to, but bloody expensive. So
Well, we'll have to
you know,
get
when I find
you up, and then we'll do a session.
that's it. Everyone laugh at
Yeah.
Matt. Is that the session? Nice. Okay, cool. I'll be there for it. I'll be there for it.
No, yeah, let's jump in. But before we get into that CrossFit specifically, although it might have some funny links to it, there was a video that I sent you, and
I
you
saw this
watched
video.
it? Yeah, you saw this
Yeah.
video.
We'll
Well, maybe we can pop it up on the socials.
put it up here, just in the side of the video.
Yeah. So exactly. Yeah. So this is the video. So
yeah, what was this video you
here's
were
the
talking
clip.
about?
Well, here's the clip, and we'll pop it up. And so this guy, it's 406 kilos, and this guy, first of all, he gets help lifting it up in the first place. There's one person on either side of him helping him lift it up in the first place, and then, I mean, the deadlifts he's doing kind of look like deadlifts I've seen at a CrossFit gym. What is going on? What do you think? Immediate reactions when you see that, S&C coach Matt.
I've watched it like with a little experience, but no, a lot of experience, but with like I've watched it like 5 times, and I tried breaking it down. I was like, I see what they're trying to do, but it's once again overcomplicating it. Do you know what I mean? They're just stick to it, the basics. You're trying to create power, so maybe do like trap jumps, you know, with a trap bar.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're just going way too hectic. I don't know why. Like he clearly can't lift that by himself. He's clearly just using the bouncing force of the platforms next to him just to bring it back up, and just doing this with it. Which at the end of the day, it's not going to be as beneficial if you're focusing on just breaking that movement down into one simplified exercise, in my opinion.
Right.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm all here for it, because without him, we wouldn't be able to talk about it. So carry on having fun and experiment.
It looks ridiculous. First of all, yeah, the fact that he can't even lift it up is red flag number 1. He's got to have two people who look like they're struggling themselves to help him lift
and look
it.
like they're stronger than him. They look like they're stronger.
They're
than
putting in max effort to help him lift it up in the first place. Which then it's like, okay, well, eccentric movements you can't lift up anyway.
Yeah.
Fine. But this isn't. Obviously, he's not really doing it eccentrically, because he's literally like bent over chest pressing this thing into the floor to try to get a bounce.
That's the thing.
And like what you said, and then
And
I thought, well, maybe he's using the bounce because then at the top of the range where he's maybe a bit stronger, then he can lift
yeah,
it to kind of like give that overshoot. But then I was thinking, well, then just do like trap bar jumps with a band.
yeah. Or
Because
even just do, like a quarter deadlift. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just working that motion where you're struggling, that lockout area. Just do that, split it up.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to
try
get
to
Hayden on
overload
here.
your
I think
muscles with weight.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think Hayden would
see
love
what
this.
Hayden's
Hayden would
reaction.
this
It's
podcast would turn into an hour of just your
Scotland.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I can clean and
No,
jerk
but
140 kilos. Oh. That's Hayden.
sorry, Hayden. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, he hates me
Yeah,
now.
I just saw it and I thought that was hilarious. Just thought I'd see
Yeah.
what you thought.
Nah. I won't
Also,
be
the
incorporating
thing
that into the gym at the school.
the last problem that I have with it is just the risk that you're taking. If you're doing a controlled deadlift, you're hoping to have your technique and your core braced throughout the whole movement, right? But because he's pushing this thing down with such force and bouncing it off the ground, you're losing all of the tension that you've built up in your core.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden on the way up, you're going to have to catch that weight again and pull it up. So I think there's a much higher risk of injury there than there is, if you're doing a conventional deadlift and maintaining that brace, the Valsalva all the way through.
Oh.
Speaking of questionable form, CrossFit.
I am not gonna be I'm not gonna be on either side. I've never done it, so I don't have a proper opinion on it.
But you
I have
have
nothing
an
against
opinion, though.
CrossFit.
It just might not be proper.
Nah.
Everyone has
What
it.
do you mean?
I
I've
had
never
an
had an
opinion about. I had an opinion about CrossFit before I did it, and in some ways it's changed, and in some ways it hasn't, which is interesting. So CrossFit. So I just Googled CrossFit to see what the definition of is,
Yeah.
and kind of from Google. The definition is a high-intensity fitness program incorporating elements from several sports and types of exercise. From the CrossFit website, there's 3 aspects of CrossFit. Constantly varied, so the movements that you're doing are always different. Functional movements, which that's kind of a super broad and vague term. Like, what's a functional movement? I guess, but squats, deadlifts, shoulder to shoulder press, shoulder to overhead. So, things that you could generally
There you go.
see you doing in your everyday life. And the third is high intensity. So those are the 3 aspects of CrossFit. I'm just going to read out a blurb. And CrossFit in itself and how you train, I really like if you do it right. And I think it can be really, really, really beneficial. And we'll get into that. But CrossFit, it's actually crazy. CrossFit actually isn't a sport technically because it doesn't have a governing body. CrossFit technically is a brand.
Ah.
And
I think
we
that's
can
what
get
makes
into
it
that.
dangerous in some aspects. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's not governed. And there is to an extent, but there's no really like ground rules or ground regulations or whatever. It's just like a free for all.
Yeah.
All you have to do to be a CrossFit affiliate is pay an absurd amount of money every year to CrossFit, the brand, so that you can call yourself a CrossFit box. And that's why CrossFit boxes are so expensive, because they have to pay this insane premium every year to be part of the group.
And that's why it doesn't make it
so
accessible for others, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, yeah.
At least CrossFit, like purely actually doing CrossFit, you could just do CrossFit, and there's lots of functional fitness gyms. You know what I mean? That do CrossFit, but they can't call it CrossFit. Yeah. So, anyways, so that was aside. But there's this. I went on CrossFit's like website, and it started with like not just exercise, but also like a lifestyle and eating right. And there was like all of these different, not rules, but going back to Liver King, like kind of tenets that you kind of follow to live like the CrossFit way, kind of. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoy CrossFit, but this blurb just kind of made me laugh and cringe at the same time. So I'm going to read it out and see what you think. CrossFit was founded in 2001 and can be used to accomplish any goal, from improved health to better performance. CrossFit is so effective it might feel like magic. But in truth, it's a formula that works. It's a formula for everything we do, from forging elite fitness to preventing and reversing chronic disease. It's the inputs that give us the outcomes, the results that have revolutionized an industry and changed millions of lives for better.
So, do you know, like, it's not entirely false, but it's also just a little bit hectic.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, have I frozen?
Super
Okay, I'm back.
hectic.
It's strange. Like,
Super hectic.
reversing chronic diseases, that's a wild statement, but I get it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
And I mean,
interesting.
you could say this to any exercise. Like, any exercise can do this if done properly, you know?
Yeah,
I
100%.
think the thing that separates CrossFit from any other like exercise modality is the variance. So you have like Olympic, you have to be good at, or there's Olympic lifting, there's cardio elements, there's dumbbell elements. Then there's all the gymnastic stuff. So like ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, handstand push up, handstand walks, all those kind of things. And then you have to be good, or at least to compete at a high level in CrossFit, you have to be good at all of those. And even if you're doing it just as a casual thing, you get to learn all of those skills, which, I mean,
Mm.
learning new skills is never a bad thing, is it?
I mean, it's that.
But
It's
so
no, carry on, carry on.
I think we were just
There's a bit of a
paused
delay.
waiting for the other
There's a bit of
person to go.
delay
There is.
though.
That's fine. That's fine. We move. That we were just stood there like, no, you talk. No,
No, it's okay.
you
You
talk.
talk.
We're trying out a new software today, people. So it's a new day for all of us. But anyways, CrossFit has exploded in the last 20 years. You've seen all the memes about swinging around on bars. You know, we can talk about our pull-ups or butterfly pull-ups, real pull-ups, you know, and then maybe we'll get into a bit of the injury prevention and rehab side because there's injuries in every sport, but I think especially at the lower level, there's a lot of injuries in CrossFit, and we can get into why I think that is. But what do you think of CrossFit first and foremost? When somebody tells you they do CrossFit, what's your immediate first reaction to that?
I just like I would love to try it. I think it's bloody
Say, well,
difficult.
delete that number.
No, I genuinely would love to try it. I think it's you know, as you said, there's so many different exercises that you have to learn, so many different techniques that you have to perfect. That I think it is great, and it's also you're burning a load of calories. So if you need to get ripped, I mean, I've never seen an overweight CrossFitter. You know, they're all absolutely
true.
jacked.
Yeah, at least
I
high
mean, you know,
level.
because there's probably no testing in CrossFit as there's no governing body, so you know that might be a part of it. Just a bunch of liver kings walking around. You never know.
No.
But yeah,
There is
no.
testing, but it's all
Oh, is there?
internal.
Aha.
Yeah.
Might
Although
join
to be
CrossFit
fair,
then.
last year was a joke. So after every year it changes of how you can make it to the CrossFit Games, which is like the Stanley Cup of the CrossFit. So
Yeah.
trying to find the world's fittest man, the world's fittest woman. The top 40 athletes in each category go, right? And after the semifinals, if you qualified for the games, you got tested. And especially especially in the teams. In the teams category, there was some semifinals like in South America where no team that actually qualified was able to go because they all got popped.
That's
But I
peak.
guess that's with any sport, like Usain, I throw a wrench in saying like Usain Bolt has never been tested, or at least as far as I know, you know,
Yeah. Nah, he's
like
fine.
do
He's
they
super
just
quick
do
though.
they?
I like him.
It's so quick, yeah, and that's a whole different conversation,
They couldn't catch him.
but
That's why
that's
they
true.
couldn't catch him. No, get tested. Get tested.
He's like, what? What? Oh, sorry, I already won.
Meow. But yeah, no, I
Yeah.
like go. The difficult thing is with CrossFit, is as you said, it's just very difficult because there's no governing body and you have to pay in order to be CrossFit. But then I'm sure you can still open a gym and say we offer CrossFit, and it just makes it difficult to manage. And I think that's where like
Hmm.
general people trying to get into CrossFit could injure themselves if they're not going to a proper gym. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah,
It just seems
yeah,
very all over the place. And I think Joe Rogan
absolutely,
spoke to Matt Fraser.
absolutely.
He spoke to Matt
Yeah.
Fraser about this, and they made good points surrounding, just what does it take to become an accredited gym, and how do they manage all these other gyms claiming to be CrossFit gyms. So it is interesting.
Mm,
Uh, we'd love to
yeah.
have you on, Joe Rogan.
Should, or Matt Fraser,
Yeah, that is
if you're
true. That
listening.
is true.
Um, should we talk about the injury prevention side of things, or should we? First,
Let's go
first of
injury
all, I
prevention.
want to just
Oh
say
yeah,
this. Before that, actually, I lied. Before I started CrossFit, I would look at people doing like ring muscle ups, bar muscle ups, kipping pull ups, and being like, well, they're just using momentum. Like that's so easy, you know. First of
yeah,
all, no, it's not. I still can't do like pull ups or chest to bars very well. It's such a skill to do, and bar muscle ups and ring muscle ups I can do, but I can't do that many. And that's the other point that you need to consider is the style of workouts that you're doing these movements in. In a workout, you might have to do, let's say, 30 ring muscle ups in a workout, but along with maybe some Olympic lifting or rowing or something else that's fatiguing you as well. So there's two things to consider. One, it's for time, usually, if you're doing a movement like ring muscle ups or whatever, incorporated into a workout, it's for time. So you want to be doing it as fast as possible. So why are you going to do it strict? It's slower. Also, that
yeah,
takes way more energy. And I would love to see anyone who says those aren't real, like ring muscle ups, do 30 strict muscle ups within a workout. You know,
yeah. I think
that would be insane. Like 30 kipping is hard enough.
Yeah, I guess I'll be the devil's advocate here. I think like just lower the amount of reps and
Okay,
make them
nice.
strict pull-ups. Do you get what I mean? Like instead of doing 30 strict pull-ups, obviously that's outlandish. Maybe just do like 15, And even though it does take longer, the one who's got the most amount of
Mm,
strength will be able to do them quicker. Do you know what I mean?
mm, mm-hmm,
But I
mm-hmm.
see both. I think
I
that's
guess
what they're
the
trying to
other
say.
side of that
I see
then,
both sides. Like, yeah,
true. That's true. That's true. And I wonder if also it comes to a point of one, well, they're not as fast, so I'm gonna do I could do 15. I could do 15 like CrossFit, not non-strict ring muscle ups faster than I could do 15 strict ring muscle ups. And the other
yeah,
one, also from a judging standpoint, is how do you judge a strict? Like at what point does it
yeah,
go
yeah.
from being strict to not strict?
No, 100%.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it is a difficult one.
So
But like either way, the kipping is extremely difficult. I only learnt the word yesterday, so
yeah, it's skill in and of itself. And I think when you consider like the volume that you do, then like sure they're easier, but we do, I might be able to do 3 strict ring muscle ups, but I could do 30 ring muscle ups. You know what I mean?
mm,
So just a totally different stimulus for sure. Injury prevention. No, this is probably the other issue that I had with CrossFit as well before I got into it, and even still while I'm doing it, is the injury prevalence, especially at lower levels. I worked at a gym back home, and there's at least once a week somebody coming in who was like going to physio because they had injured themselves doing CrossFit.
Mm. Well,
What's your
it's difficult because it's a scenario where you're given 100% maximum output, isn't it? So, like, say,
Mhm.
I'll bring it for my Formula One fans. It's when, you spend 5 million on these cars, $5 million on these cars. You've got all these people who are the smartest engineers, or some of the smartest engineers in the world, come together to build a car that, retires after lap 27 out of 60 because of hydraulic failure or hydraulic brakes issue, or, like it fails and it fails to finish, but you're running these cars at 100% maximum output. So,
mm,
it's still gonna break down. So same with CrossFit. I feel like you're running yourself 100% for a certain amount of time for a certain, all these days. If not done properly, if you don't have some of the best mechanics around you, some of the best accredited CrossFit coaches around you, then injury will be much, much higher.
mm.
I think that was a great, I might have to pat myself on the back with that one. That was a great analogy. Oh,
Use both hands. Use both hands. Double pat. Yeah, absolutely. That just looks like you're giving yourself a hug.
yeah, I know.
Absolutely. I think that's it. I think one of the biggest issues that I have with CrossFit boxes is when coaches don't educate the people coming in enough to help them
Mm,
with their in with the movements on two levels, on not giving them the proper technique, which in a class obviously is difficult. You can't spend, all the class with one person who has poor technique. But the best thing you could do if they have poor technique is like, oh, just go lower in weight to decrease risk of injury, right? Don't let someone with
yeah,
poor technique, deadlift 100 times with really heavy weight. You're just asking for something to go wrong eventually. So that's one problem that I have. Definitely, I've seen a lot of CrossFit boxes where there isn't that um, the priority put on making sure people have good technique and are learning properly and know how to learn. The other thing that I would say is an issue. Um, People see the top athletes and they see them
yeah,
training, and they see them training twice a day, 6 days a week, all year round. And what they see on Instagram is like they lift heavy every single day. They're maxing out all the time. All the workouts they're
yeah,
doing are, like you said, at 100%. You know, and then they see their recovery strategies, which is like the gun, or like rolling out, or like this big sleeves that you sit in, the compression sleeves, and boy, got it on hand. That was
sorry, what were you saying?
seamless.
Carry on, David, carry on, David, carry on. It's okay.
Oh, that was seamless. Um, and then so they're like, oh, sick, yeah. So George, who's 40 years old, who probably already has back problems, says, I want to get in shape. I'm going to join a CrossFit box, do CrossFit twice a day. I'm going to lift heavy every day. I'm also going to, have my wife and kids to take care of. And also, I have a 9 to 5 job. And I think
Poor
what people
George.
forget when they look at poor George, yeah, George is going to go downhill quick. And I think what people forget is, is like those professional athletes, that's their for most of them, that's their full-time job. They've got everything else dialed in. And not only that, but they have time to recover, and they haven't gone from zero to that
Mm,
immediately. There's been years and years of building up intensity, building up volume, building up the skill required for all those movements to be able to be put in a position where their body can handle more. And also, not every single session is high intensity. There are
yeah,
sessions where it's like a long 40-minute bike at like zone 2 and lower intensity, lower impact things. And so I think people that start CrossFit and aren't educated in how to do it properly and safely try to go 100% in, they're training twice a day. They're probably not sleeping as much as they should. They're probably not eating as much as they should.
Yeah.
And they've got all these other stresses in their actual world, like their job and family, that maybe some elite athletes don't have because they have the ability to go home and rest like they need to.
Yeah.
That they just crumble.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, like the big thing, external stresses that person's being imposed with, and also just the not proper recovery modalities for him. You know, if he's coming home, finishes work at 5, he's traveled back home, say he gets home at 6, then he's got to go CrossFit 7 till 8 or 7 till 9 or 8 till 9. Comes back home, he's gonna have to eat, then he's gonna have to go to bed, then wake up at 6 because his kids need to go to school, and then he's got to get ready for work and leave. Hectic. Not nice.
Hectic.
Especially when you're running 100% throughout the day and you need to do a session that, let's say it is zone 2, that's okay. But on the other days when it is 100%, you're going to be shattered. You're not going to be able to keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when your body will start giving up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's too bad. And I would like to see, more education be more work, put into education of because it's easy to see people on Instagram and see what they're doing and follow your favorite CrossFit athlete, and this is how he trains, so I'm going to train like this. But you don't see all of the background work that's either being done now to help them or her achieve what they're doing, or the years and years of work that have been done in the past to get their body to a position where they're able to handle that load more,
Yeah.
And CrossFit, I think, is still evolving. Like the sports, like I think there's such a big research area. If we're speaking about research that could be done in CrossFit and volume and training volume and how to peak or how to taper, because CrossFit can be, I think, pretty silly. Sometimes they have like I've heard CrossFit athletes, like they have a massive competition coming up and they're like, yeah, I'm going to taper for like 2 days. What? 2 days? What do you mean? Yeah, I'm just going to taper for 2 days. And it is different because like the level of output that you need is so ridiculously high. You can't like shut off, And the volume that they're used to is so ridiculously high that a taper for them is probably like a max workout for most people.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's that's the thing. It's hard. I think, yeah, I agree with you. You got to have some proper governing body. Maybe not a governing body, but someone that can control it, but in a good way. In a perfect world, you'd have someone that can manage everything, and everyone would have to be accredited or have some sort of professional license to take people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what's also crazy about CrossFit? All of the judges. So there's the head judge in the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
And he gets paid. But all of the judges that you see in every competition, those are all volunteers.
Oh, fair.
Isn't that crazy?
I want to be a judge.
You could be. You just have to. I think for the CrossFit Games, you just have to do your level 1 CrossFit, which means you just have to pay $1,000 to be able to do the course. So not only are they not getting paid, but they're paying to be a judge. That's crazy.
Mental.
And we spoke about VAR. There's very little VAR in CrossFit, or like somebody gets no rep and they're like, no, that was a rep, and then be able to go back and then say, no, that was a rep. Can we go check? There is a little bit of that, but very little, very little.
That's crazy. Yeah,
I think that could be somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange that. There you go.
Yeah. Anyways, that was my. Yeah. I think all in all, if done correctly, CrossFit can be such a great training modality for you because you're
100%.
learning skills. You have such a varied type of exercises that you're doing. you get to learn some fun skills. Like as a kid, I was always really jealous of people who could do handstand walks, and now I can do handstand walks. Sick.
Mate.
I'm not very
But
good
it's
at them,
also like
but I can do
that
them.
team sort of environment. Do you know what I mean? Like you're within a team, everyone's going through the same stuff
Absolutely.
together. It's hard. Everyone's trying to be, it's great. It's that sort of team environment instead of like a gym where everyone's like trying to be the biggest person, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I really like that aspect.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the last thing probably, is the community of a CrossFit gym is definitely second to none. Like all my best friends are at the CrossFit gym that I train at. We train with each
Yeah.
other most days of the week. Like there's so many workouts that I would not have done at all or wouldn't have done nearly as good by myself.
Yeah,
No chance. And
100%.
that's definitely if you're someone who like struggles with motivation to go to the gym, I think CrossFit Box immediately puts you in an environment where you have that external motivation and people to do work with you, which is always easier.
100%. Guess what I've got lined up, David?
Quick fire questions.
100%. 100%.
Oh,
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. Come on. Episode 20. Quick fire
Who out
questions.
of all your friends do you admire the most?
I was not ready for that. Starting off quick fire questions with a banger. Who out of all of my friends do I admire the most?
Yeah.
This is a quick fire question.
Oh yeah. The first thing that comes to your head.
The first one that came to is a friend back home, Ryan.
Nice.
Ryan.
Big man Ryan. What's the
Just
worst
finished,
thing you've eaten?
Just finished medical school. Duck intestine.
Ugh. If you had a time machine, what part of a history would you go back to?
I would definitely want to go back to the medieval times just to see like how bad it was, but also kind of cool. Like just go explore a castle.
Yeah. Where is the worst place that you could get trapped?
Probably in a spider-infested cave.
Yeah, that's not nice. If you could be fluent in any other language, which one would you be fluent in?
Italian, 100%.
Oh,
Thought of that one a lot.
Spacente,
Yeah.
spacente. Have you ever been in a life or death situation?
No, thankfully.
Oh, there you go. What's the best compliment you've received? David, you're so strong. You've got such big calves.
I've never heard that one, Matt. How dare you bring up my small cows on the podcast? That you're good with kids, but not in a weird way.
This has been the RSS podcast. We're out.
I wanted to say that in my head. It made it sound less creepy, but it's just made it more creepy.
Oh no! Oh, that's a great way to end up. That's a great way to end off. I say we just end it there.
End it there. Listen, thanks for listening. If you enjoy it, remember, listen, like, share. Go follow us on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. What do we got lined up for next week's podcast? What's next week's podcast, Matt?
Next week's podcast is concussion and sport management.
Concussion in sport.
No, it's not.
No, concussion management in.
It's not. Bro, these numbers, they're flying around.
These numbers are doing our head in. We're really bad at knowing when things are happening.
I say we just cut
Next
all of that
week,
out.
we have a really big guest coming up.
There you go. Really big
Right,
one.
I'll ask that question again.
Okay.
Matt, what do we have coming up next week?
We've got a really big guest. We've got a really, really big guest. I don't want to give away too much. Just check out our socials and you'll find out. Maybe you can work it out before we release the episode, but it's a really big one.
Ooh.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Guest number 3 it's only going up. We're really excited about this guest. See what kind of chats we have. See what we chat about. So definitely follow along. We'll see you next Tuesday. Matt, take us out.
This has been the RSS podcast. We're out.